All right, so here we are on site. We're doing a small little cottage. Let me just show you around really quick. This is the living room. This is another open, maybe like a seating area, dining room maybe. We got a kitchen right here. So we're gonna have to do some multiple flash pops to light this evenly. Let me just show you our setup right now. We are running with that Olympus EM1 Mark II with that 9 to 18 millimeter lens. And we're gonna run with a Godox V1 and use that as a trigger also. So if you can see, I got my phone connected here and we are going to control. I already put this camera in focus, got my, let me tilt this down so you can see that a little bit better. I'm actually just gonna, keep my flash off right now. And we have to control the shutter. It looks like we're at +1 for our exposure on our meter. Now the only disadvantage I can see to using this app is I lose my histogram and I also lose the ability to my focus peaking, which I really rely on manual focus. That way the camera doesn't accidentally hunt on something else. So I like that. That looks good. We do have my car in the shot. That could be a problem. I'm wondering if I should go move that. All right, that looks better. We got the car moved out of the way. So again, if you can see, I am exposing to the right, which I know I am because even though I don't have my histogram, I have my meter right there and it says +1.7. But again, looking at the scene, it looks like it's lit well enough. So really this is gonna be an easy, just one flash bounce as long as we don't get any reflections, but we'll test that out. So all I gotta do is take my first ambient shot. And again, I can review it on this app if I need to, which I always like to do, just really quickly. Making sure that the exposure read correctly. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to dial that shutter speed up, and I can't go much, I don't think I can go above 200, but that'll give me a nice window view. Let's turn our flash on. And now M is going to be for main, I'm assuming, and that is this V1, so we're just going to, we just keep hitting mode. There's TTL, and there's 1/2 power. We're gonna tilt that flash back a little bit. Take our first flash pop. All right, so you can see that definitely is too bright. So I'm gonna run with, let's see. So here's another tip, real quick. We cannot control the flash power from the AD200. But what you can do is set up, so I have each one of these, the channel A, or I'm sorry, group A is at 1/8 power, group B is at 1/4, and group C is at 1/2. And all three of these I'm gonna be able to control from my AD200, because if you try to set this flash power to anything else, as soon as you take a flash, it's gonna go back to whatever it was set at on that group. So 1/8 power is probably gonna be enough for this. So, there we go. I'm gonna put all these images up on the screen right now so you can see what I'm taking. I'm just looking at it myself. That's the only downside again to using this app. When you're close to the camera, it's just a lot slower. So, looks like we got a hot spot over there in that corner. Let's see if we can correct that. That's the sun coming in. So let's do this. Let's just do a composite just to be safe. Over to here. See if we can eliminate that sun glaring in at us. So we're gonna move on to the other side of the room. Let's see. And again, we're gonna have to eyeball it for our verticals. Turn our flash off. I'm going down. All I'm doing is dropping my shutter till that's 2 stops overexposed. Let's go 1.7. Take a shot. And again, this will be going quicker if I didn't have to review everything. But I haven't been using this app enough to be confident. So here's another issue. Because if we bring this shutter up to the 200ths, all right, that gives us enough light. Let's turn this on. 1/8 power is set. hold the flash up, take our flash pop. It should look good. And that's lit perfectly. I like that. And I think we can move on now. All right, let's go on to the living room here. And again, I want to show the open floor plan. Now I can take my shoes off. Show the open floor plan here, but first we're going to just show just this living room here. All right, so we can move this. Try to center that as best I can. Get my verticals. Drop that shutter down. Not sure if I can go any lower on the f-stop or not. I can go to f4. That works. Because remember, f4 on a Micro Four Thirds is the same as shooting f8 on a full frame, so I'm still good there. 1.3. And of course that sun is going in and out, so now I'm really having to mess with that. That looks good. Alright, so I'm going to do a composite with this shot. We will keep the on-camera flash at 1/8. Let's go back. We're going to do A, which is my 8200. We'll go to 1/4 power. And now I can just walk into the middle of the room. So we're underexposing now by 1.3, looks like. And again, I don't have to touch the 8200 because I already set it on the... Looks like we're at 1/4 power. Although I could have just used my group settings. Let's see what that looks like. And again, I already kind of have an idea that this is going to look good. It does. But we got to make sure we get angled back so we can eliminate. And I'm putting these images up on the screen again so you can see. Yeah, that looks good. Now with the app, I noticed that it takes a JPEG and a RAW image. That's why you see, if you can see, I'm swiping, there's 2 of them. But we will be able to eliminate those hot spots. Absolutely, that looks really awesome. I'm happy about that. So now let's move to the other side of the room, showing this whole open floor plan. Bring that shutter down. It's a little laggy, I noticed. I'm just turning my dial on my Benro. In my focal length, I'm just keeping it at the 9mm, which would be 18mm on a full frame. Dropping that height down. I'm trying to get squared up here. I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to bring that shutter up. We're at 2.7. And again, at least I have the meter to go by. We're definitely going to have to tone that brightness of that sun coming into that sunroom a little bit. I just got to rotate that. There we go. So your ceiling line where the wall meets the ceiling, you want to have that, if you're straight on, have that level with the entire image. But I'll show you a trick in Lightroom how to fix all this stuff regardless if you get it right in camera or not. And again, that sun is really putting up a challenge here. Let's turn our flash off, review it real quick. Alright, we're definitely going to have to control that hot spot by that door. So this is where using ambient light only is really going to help. Let's turn our flash back on. We got 1/8 power. Remember, failed to communicate with camera. Oh, great. Oh, I like the convenience. Okay, it's back on live. We should be good. Okay, good. All right. So, we don't have many windows to worry about, but I'm going to bring this up to where my window view, and I'm going to take a picture in case you can't see that. All right, that looks good. We're going to still do a composite back there. The switches in these things go bad too, by the way. All right. Do I want it at quarter power? Yeah, why not? All right. Switching hands here. Going up. And again, because I'm new to this app, I am going to review almost every image. And I kind of like to do that because then you can see how far away you need to get your flash pop. There we go. That's good. Nice and even. Now we just have to brighten up this room in here. And again, we should be able to do this in one. If you see I'm in the corner here, as long as I can get a composite with that bright enough. Yeah, see? To me, that's good enough. Because, how's that ambient? That is well, let's see what the ambient light does. Okay, it is pretty dark. So what we're going to do, just to be safe here, is come over here. Let's see, maybe the back here. Something like this. Good. The distance and the range on that is good. You can see how far away my camera is. Okay, that'll help us. I'm just concerned that the hot spot on the carpet right there wasn't going to look natural enough, but then we can minimize it with the other flash. All right, now we can come into this room and we can show that the kitchen is off to the side there. I wish you had live view on the camera as well as the app. That's my only issue. I don't like that. I don't like just relying on just the app to see, but again, I need to get a strap for this. And the other thing too is it's tough to know if you're level, if your verticals are, because you lose all that. And let's shut that flash off. Oh, trying to multitask here is pretty difficult. So make sure you hit that subscribe button for all the hard work I'm doing. All right, let's see here. There we go. Now I can use the beam or the door frame going into the kitchen as my vertical guide. And I can also use the ceiling. Let's see, we got to rotate this a little more. All right. Perfect. All right, we look like we're +7 overexposed. Flashes are off. Let's bring that shutter down just a little bit more to +1 and do our shot. Now here's another tip. I'm going to click on that image and I'm able to zoom in now to make sure that I am actually in focus. Probably should have done that first, but good. We are. I like the way that looks. Okay, remember, before you turn your flash on, bring that shutter up. And again, there's a little bit of a delay, -1, but we're really watching that window view. We can go to 160, that should be enough. I'm going to go to 200 just to make sure, because we got plenty of flash power. Turning, we're going to have to light. I'm going to do a composite in here, and then a flash pop in the kitchen. I'm going to switch hands here. I'm going to keep it at 1/4 and 1/8 for on camera, just to give me some of that fill. There we go. Let's see what that looks like. Now we just have to make sure that our lighting is on this side of that light. Just a slight delay with that flash pop, but that's okay. Let's see what our window view looks like. We're getting crazy shadows here. What if we do it over here instead? Like right here. And again, you're gonna have sun coming in. I mean, it's almost impossible to avoid that. That looks like that helped. And we'll be able to tone down those shadows, or I mean, those highlights for that window view. Let's just go back out. I know we're gonna be all right. So if you can see, I just wanna make sure I'm lighting this space. Let's see how well that works. Because that on-camera flash should help us blend it. And it will. That'll be good. Nice. Okay. Moving on. Let's show this corner because we want to show the stairwell. Let's see how that looks. Go back to our camera view here, shut the flash off. Yeah, I'm gonna like this because, let's see, we got it. Watching my vertical lines here, trying to get it as close to accurate as possible. This is a lot to get used to if you're switching over from doing everything in camera. And now that, see, I want to use the ambient light for that living room over there. So that is going to work. I'm still going to do my flash pops just in case. But now we're inside the room, so our on-camera flash will light this. We're going to do a flash pop on the stairwell as well. Take our ambient shot. All right, now let's dial our shutter up. Looks like we're going to be all right at 160. I'm going to leave all flash power the same. Seems to be the theme here. Should be able to light this pretty easily. We're going to still have to light. We'll review all these after. Let me go in this far corner. Let's see. Oh, it didn't fire. Let's hope it fires now. The on-camera one fired. The Godox didn't over here. Let's see. I got to turn my the infrared light. It's still not working. Now it went dark on the actual 8200. Let's turn it back on. I know the battery's not dead. There we go. I wonder if it's going to sleep on me for some reason. All right, here we go. There we go. All right, let's review these real quick. We still got to light that far room. That lit that good. You know what? We're going to go in this far corner. Do a flash pop. There we go. I was afraid it wasn't going to work. Hopefully that's enough light. It is. I like that. Let's go up to the stairwell here. And again, I'm going all the way up the stairs. Obviously you can see that. Oh, let's see. And that should be far enough away where we can fill that in. And that lit it pretty nicely. I'm taking it. I like it. Now let's go to the kitchen. All right, do we want to show? Let's see if we need to shut that door. Probably for now. Bring up our live view here. Now kitchens, you're gonna make sure that you're higher than the bottom of the cabinets and you wanna be able to see the countertop. So, shut the flash off, get our ambient layer. Remember, +1, somewhere around there, as far as exposure goes. So I can almost see the top of the counters. We gotta go up a little higher. That looks good to me. Let's take our first shot. I'm just gonna review this. Zoom in, make sure everything's sharp. All right. Now for this one, I think we're going to keep the V1 power off and just bounce a flash behind me. We'll go up to 125. So how we're going to shut that off, again, we have to hit M for main until you see those dotted lines. And we're still at quarter power on the 8200. And we're just going to tip it back behind me. So all I'm doing is holding it back like this, bouncing it back into the room. And that should give me enough light. It actually gives me too much light. Let's just do straight up and down now, because there's weird shadows going on. That is a lot better. And if we zoom in, all right, let's move on. Shutting that flash off. See, it's nice because you can use this as the trigger, obviously, and you don't have to worry about shutting the 8200 off. It won't fire on its own because we are shutting the trigger off, which is the flash. All right, so let's bring this shutter down. That's +3, that's too much. We're just gonna show again the stove. I'm so used to looking at my camera screen here. +2, that's still a little too much. Let's take our first shot. In this one, this is why I love running with the camera, or the flash on top of the camera. We're going to go 1/8 power again on this. We got a quarter power. Oh, we gotta shut that off. First, let's get our exposure dialed down. We're going to 1/8, or I'm sorry, 1/100th now. Oh, that's all right. We got a repair layer if we need it. All right, turning the flash on, 1/8 power on that V1. Quarter power on the 8200. And we're just gonna make sure that we can light this room well enough. And it did, it's firing. Things are working, that's good. Let's review that before we move. Look at that, look at how awesome that lit that. All right, so all I gotta do left is run upstairs and do the bedrooms, but those are pretty easy. I'm just probably gonna reach in and do a flash pop. So, all right guys, let's get into the editing room and we're gonna edit these images for you. Let's go. So here's our first image. Remember, that was the ambient layer. And I'm going to go through this slowly, this one, the first one, and then I'm going to kind of move it quickly through the other ones because I want to show you how fast this process can be. But I'm just going to reset this real quick. This is what this looks like. I have my Ollie 8-18 initial bump right there. And I believe that corrects for my... Yeah, that corrects for, well, it doesn't correct for vertical, which I'm going to do right now. That helps a lot. So now I'm just going to copy these settings, and I already have it starred here. And then we're going to go over to, remember this is the one that, the initial flash pop on top of the camera. Let's see if we could even bring that back. Yeah, see, it just looks so, when you overexpose even a flash shot, it just starts to look weird when you try to bring that exposure down. So just showing you that. Alright, so we're going to do that to image composite, which I believe these are, oh, let's paste these settings in. And again, that's overexposed a little bit. Well, the preset was overexposed. I don't think I was too overexposed, because if we look at this image, that looks pretty good. Let's paste our settings in to make sure that we got the verticals correct. And I like that. So I'm holding down Command, and I'm going to click on this one and our ambient layer and bring these into Photoshop. Okay, once all three layers have been loaded into Photoshop, remember we have our ambient layer sitting on top, and we have both our left and right flash pops here. Now here's the simplest way I have found to do a composite like this, is we're just going to turn that ambient layer off, click on your first composite layer here, and do a layer mask, Command I to invert it. Come over here, make sure white is selected, take your gradient tool now, and just drive that over and blend those two images in. And now what we can do is turn our ambient layer back on and drop it to 50%. Gives us still enough window view out there. If you wanted to make that window view a little more exposed, bringing back in that flash, you can just create a layer mask without inverting it. Take black and then take your brush tool and paint in more of that more of that flash layer where you need it. And there you go. Alright, so we can flatten this image. Command S to save it. Let's bring that back into Lightroom. Let's move on. I'm not going to show you the other side. I'm going to show you my first composite. Not this one. I want to show you the one where I did this one. So this is tricky. Remember, we had to deal with this bright, the sun coming in on that porch, and then we had to light this back room right here. So again, let's paste our settings in and see how sometimes Lightroom doesn't get it right. I am going to reset that. Almost in camera looks better, so I'm going to copy these settings. Maybe bump that exposure up a little bit more for this room inside here. So I put 2 stars here, so I know that's the one I need to grab. Let's paste settings in, see if there's any different. Bring that exposure down just a little bit more. I like that. I'm going to copy these. Let's go to this side. Paste those settings in. Good. I didn't really do a whole lot, but I had to have. Okay, and then we had to do our composite over here. Paste those settings in there. You know what? Let's bring that exposure up just a little bit more. But remember, and probably could have gone with a little bit more flash power on that camera for this shot. So, but there was no way to control that off camera. That would be nice to have a device to be able to control your flash power from all devices. I wonder if I could have that trigger. Is there a way? Is there a way to be able to control the flash power away from the camera for the flash on the camera? Okay, maybe there is. There's got to be. Alright, so let's move on to our other. See, the reason why I did this shot is because of this harsh shadow right here, trying to blend that in better. We'll see. We'll see what we can do to make that work. But let's highlight all 2 stars here, because we got right and left here, and then these right and left, and that's 5 with the ambient layer. So edit in, open as layers in Photoshop. Alrighty, here we go. Ambient layer sitting on top. We can just toggle that off for now, and now we can deal with this room. And again, it's just going to be like any other right and left composite, and usually that's all you're going to need to light a room is just a right and a left flash pop. So we'll go to the top layer, do a layer mask, Command I to invert, make sure white is selected, take our gradient tool, drag that somewhere over into the center, and that looks good to me. So I like to be simple. I am going to just highlight both of those and then go to merge layers, and that'll just merge those 2 into one. Now we can actually do what we would do and just toggle that one off for now and focus on doing a layer mask, Command I to invert it for these 2. Same concept. Bring that over. And again, you know what? Sometimes the gradient tool isn't your best tool. And again, everything is just tools. You need to be able to use the tool for the job. Let's see if this is going to just brush this out for this situation. See if we can eliminate that hot spot and feather this a little bit better. Because see, this is why we did do this. So we can just work on the carpet right like that. What is this hot spot on the door frame here? Is this from this? Are we going to be able to brush that out? Yes, we are. Just a little bit like that. Now we can turn this layer. Okay, this is what we need to do. So now I'm just going to... Oops. I got highlight both of these and then come down here to merge layers. So now we're down to just 3. I like that. So now what we can do is do a layer mask, Command I to invert, paintbrush, make it bigger by doing the right bracket, and now we can paint back in the flash for this room. And we can just eliminate some of that shadow, or some of the flash, I mean, in that back room. Toggle it back to black. Bring that in more. There we go. Alright. Now we can turn our ambient layer back on. Let's just take it, since there's nothing too crazy, let's do luminosity mode and then drop it to 50%. You know what? I think that looks pretty good. So, if you wanted to tone down this sun right here, all we have to do is create a layer mask, but don't invert it, and we can paint back in some of that flash from the layer underneath. So if we toggle that on and off, see, now we have a lot of natural light coming in. It fixed a lot of our blotchiness from the composites or whatever. This was tough. I mean, it doesn't seem like it would be that challenging, but it was. It was for some reason for me. I don't know. But hopefully that looks good to you all. So, I guess we can flatten this layer. Let's bring it back into Lightroom and do a final bump and see what this one looks like. Command S to save it. And do our interior final bump. Bring that exposure down a little bit. Maybe kick those blacks down even more. I like it. I think here's a trick, and I told you in the on location tutorial, I told you there was a trick to getting at least your camera or your image to be level. Is, see this down here says angle? We can click on that, and if you know something has to be straight up and down, like for example this corner right here, you just click and hold and go down to the bottom and it'll adjust it for you. And I guess it was pretty good, so we don't have to mess with it too much. Alright, let's do one more. I'm going to show you how we lit the stairwell shot, which was this shot. So let's paste our settings in real quick just to make sure. I don't think I did the verticals on this one. Let's check to see if it fixes it. Yeah, yeah, I guess it does a decent job. So I'm just going to copy these settings. And what was this? Oh yeah, I was testing flash. Yeah, this is the flash over here in this far corner. So we'll paste those settings in. Fixes that vertical. Hit number 2 on my keyboard so we know to use that one. Do paste settings in again. 2 is already selected. And then I think this is where I went around that corner. No, it wasn't. Which one is that one? It must be... Must have been testing something. Oh, that was the kitchen shot. Let's paste that in. Bring that exposure up more. And then that one is the far living room. And we'll bring the exposure up for this one. Alright, I almost forgot about our stairwell shot right here. So we're going to highlight that one also. And bringing in all of these. So now we have 6 layers to bring in. Right click and let's get them into Photoshop. Alright, so now that we have all layers loaded in, I am going to shut that ambient layer off, and now we're dealing with our right and left composite for the main room here. So let's do our layer mask, Command I to invert. Get our gradient tool, come right here in the front of our flash pop there, blend those two nice. So now I'm just going to hold down Command and click the bottom layer, right click, and merge these layers. So now we're dealing with the one underneath, which is our kitchen light, our layer. Let's click on that. Let's bring it up just underneath the ambient layer. Do a layer mask, Command I to invert. Take our paintbrush, and now we can just brush back in And now we can come down here to this one. If we bring this one underneath the ambient layer, it was this room. Same thing, just do a layer mask, Command I to invert, and then paint that back in. My flow is at 6%, just so I can be very subtle with my changes. And it looks like I needed to blend that. So remember how this one looked dark? So if we just change this to screen, let's see what that looks like. It does. It brightens it up a lot. I actually like that. And then we can just paint back in where those dark spots are. Remember, don't worry about the we don't have to worry about the stairwell because that's our last blend that we're gonna do. And sometimes screen mode, if the room is still lit fairly well, will make it look a lot brighter. It definitely brightens up. See, we can paint out that little marking on the stair post there. But that looks like it's really blending nice. Maybe if I take the black, I want to get that kitchen a little bit brighter. Go back to white here. Now we can bring up our stairwell shot and do a... And again, let's try it. Let's do Command I to invert, but change this to screen. Go back to our brush, make it a little bit bigger, and get rid of that shadow, and paint that in. I'm just painting back in that layer underneath. So we toggle that on and off. Look at how much better that looks. Now we can bring our ambient layer back in, and I'm going to leave it on normal mode, dropping it to 50%. But if we do luminosity, I don't like it because of what it does to the wood here. So I am just going to leave it on normal. And let's see. What happens if we do change it to screen? Does that do anything? Yeah, too bright. Alright. Not too shabby. Let's merge these all together. Flatten image. Command S to save it. And bring it back into Lightroom. Okay, let's do our interior final bump. Bring that exposure back down so we're just right of center there. Maybe bring our shadows up a little bit. Drop the blacks. Hey, make sure you leave me a thumbs up if this helped you. Leave me a comment if you have any questions, and we'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye-bye.